All right, so ladies and gentlemen, starting here on chapter 3, again, most of this is going to work with pictures, it's going to work with tables, and it's going to work with tabs. So just to kind of go through some of this material relatively quickly, it talks a little bit about, as my screen is frozen, right there. Okay. Underneath the design tab here, they have pre-made themes, they're called. Themes will incorporate font sizes, font colors, font faces, what type of heading that you're going to do, what kind of subheadings look like, all that fun stuff. You can customize all of them if you really want to. But again, in this example, some of them inside of the assignments that you'll need to do, you'll need to change some of your themes. So for this example here, I'm just going to go ahead and choose, I'm going to choose facet. Okay. So here across the top two, it then has different samples that you can look at. Okay. So sometimes in your instructions, it will say change the theme to organic, and then under organic, change it to, I don't know, I like this one better, centered. Okay, so then you have to go in and choose that one. Okay. So in this example here, I'm going to go ahead and take the Corbett Art Center like we've previously done. Instead of no spacing, this time I'm going to choose title. So you can see here how it defaults. It's now got that line above and below. It's got a pre-formatted font face, font size, and in this case, there's no font color, but sometimes it can have a font color. So after the title here, and this is going to be where it gets a little tricky, okay? For those of us working in here, and for those of us at home that have downloaded all of the files, you will be able to go under Insert and choose Pictures, okay? There are pre-assigned pictures for our documents here. So if I go into my student data files, and inside of the Chapter 3 folder, you'll find these pre-made or pre-selected images. And you can go ahead and click Insert. Okay, so that's how you go ahead and insert a picture into here. Once you insert a picture, across the top here, you'll have a Format tab under your picture tools. This is where you can add a lot of effects. You can stylize material. You can tell it that it needs to wrap in line with text or where it needs to position on the page itself. You can also go over here under the size section and manually change it here. So if you wanted to change it, and it will scale based upon width and height. Okay, we call this the aspect ratio. Okay, whatever the height is and whatever the width is, they always need to stay the same for aspect ratio. Okay, if I drag on the picture here, this side one here, you notice that I can go ahead and squish it here, and it compresses all the pixels and the quality goes to crap. Okay, same thing if you go down here to the bottom and you squish it up. Okay, looks like crap. What we do is we always use in the corner here and drag it so that it scales. Okay, keeps that aspect ratio the same. So to kind of show off some of the features here, I'm going to go ahead and on my pictures here, I'm going to keep this relatively large so it's easier to see. You can go under the corrections here. And so if you want to change how bright or how much contrast there is, okay, Microsoft Word was doing this kind of stuff before Instagram was. Okay, so you can change the hue of some of this. So if you want to focus it primarily on a specific color to match your theme, you could do that. I'm going to go ahead and kind of turn it back here. You can go under your artistic effects. Okay, if you wanted to do glow lines here, you could do glow lines. It's like one of my favorites in Photoshop. Okay, under your picture styles, you could add a border. You can kind of like phase it out. You could do this like circle maneuver. You can have it so where there's a reflection. Okay, so you have all these different options. Beyond that, you can go over to your picture borders here. And if you wanted to add, I don't know, so that it shows, I'm going to show a bright yellow. Okay. You can then go down here and change how much of a bright yellow surrounds your picture here. Okay. Really simple kind of material right there. We're not going to use the picture layout here, but this goes into smart art and smart graphics that we'll talk about later. As far as position here, this is just like, where do you want it inside of your document? Do you want it top centered? Do you want it centered? Do you want it centered right centered? So you can kind of really dictate where it needs to go within your document. If you want it text wrapped, so how close do you want text to go next to it? So here you can see things like it's behind the text now, so it makes our text impossible to read while over top of it. You can have the picture in front of text. Why you would do this, I have no idea, but it's an option, okay? You can then use your arrange section here, and you can send things forwards and backwards and kind of all that stuff right there too. Okay. Any questions over pictures? No? Okay. Just to show you real quick, there are some other picture effects. So, I mean, one of my favorites is like, where is it? The preset here. Boom. Look at that. It's like 3D. Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Whoa is right. Okay. What gets me up in the morning is 3D effects on pictures in Word. All right. It's a thing of nightmares. All right. So the next thing is, if you're following along here, I'm going to show you two ways to do this. One way is the way that I prefer, and then the other way is just another way of doing it. Not to say that neither one is right or wrong. There's just benefits to doing it my way, I'm going to say. So we're going to talk about tabs. So tabs here, you can set tabs in two ways. The first one is to open up your paragraph dialog box. And then down here at the bottom left, there is a tabs button. This will open up your tabs dialog box. And you can preset tabs in here. And it will apply to your whole document. Okay? If you select specific text, you can then only apply tabs to that specific text, which can be very helpful as well if you don't want it to go to your whole document. Okay? In this example, if you want to follow along, I'm going to set my first tab at 1.5 inches. Default is ½ inch. So if you look at my ruler up here, if I set a 1.5 inch tab, it's going to start right here. Okay? And then I'm going to go down here to alignment. And just like we do with text, we can choose left, centered, right, or the fourth option with tabs is decimal. Okay? Which if you're using anything with currency and you have a decimal there, it will align it right at your decimal within all of your currency. It's great for formatting. Okay? There's a fifth one called bar, and I'll be honest, I've never used it. Okay? If I've never used it, I'm not going to really teach it. Okay? So the first one here, I'm going to go ahead and do left. I'm not going to do a leader on the first one, and I'll show you what a leader is on the second one. So if I click set on that one, okay, nothing has changed. We're just setting them all up right now. So that way when we get into our document, everything's ready to go for us to type, okay? The next one I'm going to do is I'm going to set it at 3.5. I'm still going to do a left tab, but this time I'm going to go ahead and choose the second choice for the dotted leader. Click set. And then last but not least, I'm going to set one at, we'll call it 6 inches. It's going to be a right align, so all of my text is lined up on the very last character in all the words, okay? And then same thing for this one. I'm going to go ahead and choose the dotted leader and click set. So I have one at 1.5, 3.5, and 6 inches. When I click OK, watch up here on my ruler, because you'll see all the tabs come up now. Here's a little one here on the ruler. Here's a little one on the ruler, and here. I know that may be hard to see in the back, but they're there, okay? And so what these do then is, if I say for the class fee area are follows, Okay, if I tab in, it goes 1.5 inches, whereas preset tab, which if I go right up here and I click tab, you can see the difference in tab sizes. Okay, so I'm going to say the classes are Intro to Art. And then I'm going to tab once more. And so now here's the dotted leader here, right? And for this one, I'm going to say, I don't know, 2 credits. And I'm going to tab again, and now goes all the way over to 6. And then my cost for Intro to Art is going to be $129. If I go down to the next line, tab in and do Advanced Arts, and this one's going to be 3 credits. Tab again. This one is now, I don't know, $199. Okay, so we can set tabs that way. And you can see the leader tabs make it easy to follow. Easiest thing that I can explain, another reason why we use like leader tabs like that, is if we make like a table of contents. Like chapter 1, dot, 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 all the way across, pages 1 through, I don't know, 29. Because the issue in Microsoft Word, if you just keep hitting period like this, and you're trying to align things, if you watch, and here, let me zoom in real close for you here. Every third one will change to a symbol. So if you watch, there's a little, it'll like glitch a little bit on my screen. See how it switched? 1, 2, 3, switches. It switches to a symbol called an ellipse. Okay, so that's 3 dots in a row. Which is why if you ever try to create something just by hitting all of these periods together, they never line up perfectly. Well, that's because there's a symbol that's now taking place that you can't see, that you can't edit. Okay? Okay, the other way of setting tabs is up here on the ruler. I'm just going to go ahead and you can see my left tab here at 1.5. If I left click and hold and drag it off, I've now removed that tab. I'm going to remove this other one here. And then at 6 here, I'm going to remove the right align tab too. In order to set tabs in version 2, is right here on your ruler. And if you don't have your ruler, you can go to View, turn your ruler on. Right here, you see a little Tetris piece. This is your left tab. If you hover over it, it'll say left. Click it again, it goes to center. Again, it goes to right tab. And if you click it a 4th time, it goes to your decimal tab. If you click it a 5th time, it goes to bar. Okay? So for this example, I'm going to go at 3/4 of an inch left tab. So I set that by clicking on my ruler. And you can see that I have it there now. And then I'm going to switch over to a decimal tab. And I'm going to set that at 2.5 inches. So for this, I'm just going to say art supplies to purchase. And I'm going to tab in once and say paint. And for this one, I'm going to say $12.99. Go down, brushes, tab over. I don't know, brushes, they're going to be expensive this time of year. $19. Dirty clothes, because every artist needs dirty clothes. We're going to say $1.75. Okay. Crayons. You're not buying the Crayola. You're buying Rose Art. You're buying the cheaper ones at $9.99. Okay. But if you look at all these decimal places align here, even if I were to say crayons for 13 cents, it automatically aligns at that decimal place. It just makes for better readability. Okay. And that's it with tabs. And now we're going to move on to tables. Okay. We can do tables also in a couple ways. Number one, we can take pre-existing data like we have here for art supplies. And if we go to our Insert tab, Tables, we can actually take existing data that's already in our document, and we can convert text to table. And instead of 3 columns, this one I'm just going to say 2 columns. And we can say separate text at tabs, paragraphs, or whatever. In this case, we have tabs. So if I just click OK, oh, that didn't work right. Insert, convert to table. So I'll leave it at 3 columns instead. And we go ahead and add it in. And it went and converted that. And I'm just going to go ahead and resize this column. What? Okay, so we can convert that right away. And that's really easy to do. The other way that we can make tables is if I just go down one line here. If I go to insert under this table, I can either draw the table that I want, that I need, or I can go to insert table and then figure out exactly how many columns and rows that I need. So I'm just going to say that I need 3 columns and we're going to go with 4 rows. Okay. So I now have my table here. It's taking up quite a bit of space. I don't want it to take up that much space. So what we can do is if you choose these little arrows in the top left of your table, it'll select the whole table. Up here at the top, you now have table tools appears, and you have 2 tabs within this. You have design, which is essentially how is it looking, okay, and your layout. This has to deal with like how many columns and rows and if you want to merge stuff together. So what I'm going to do is, first off, I don't want my table so big, or so wide, I should say. So I'm going to drop it down here to, I don't know, like 1.5 inches here, okay? So I can do that under my cell sizes here. If I want to then say that the top row here needs to be merged because this is my table header, so then underneath the merge section here on layout, I can now just merge all these cells together and say like Dolly's Art School, okay? These then would probably be my column headers, so I would say courses, cost, and I don't know, credits. So if these are now my course headings, I'm going to say, I don't know, intro to art. It's going to cost $199. You get 2 credits for taking intro to art with me. And then I'm going to teach ceramics. And that's going to be $249 for 3 credits. Okay. So if we set up our table this way, right, we don't need any additional columns right now. Okay, but maybe we want to go ahead and take Dolly's Art School here and we want to center it. Okay, I can also go in and I could give it this heading 1. So I could actually go under my style section here and apply this color here. For my credits, costs, and courses, I want to be kind of, I'm an edgy art teacher. So not only am I going to center them, but I'm going to do verticals here. So I could do it that way, or I could do it upwards. Okay, so whichever way your heart desires on that. Okay. And then for the rest of my table here, I want to design it to where we have some coloration on it. So I want to formulate it in a special way. So I like blue myself. So I'm going to go ahead and do blue here. Although now my font color doesn't work. So 2 seconds. Go with a light blue. Okay. So we have some of these pre-designs that we can choose from. Okay, so we can change a little bit of our design, our inputs, our layouts. If we wanted to add a row or column, we can go ahead and use that right here under the rows and column section. For this one, if I just insert one down to the bottom here and now say that I don't know, I teach tattooing. That's going to be $4.99, but you get 5 credits. Okay, so I can easily add a row, easy enough, and it's going to go ahead and keep going with whatever my design is here. So if I do one more row down here, it's going to be blue. Okay, So we can change some of those around. Let's see here. I think that is pretty close to everything. But I do want to show you that under design, you can open up this border section here. So if you want to get more in depth, you can add specific borders to only tables. You can apply it to the table or even to a specific cell. Under layout here, you go under cell size. You get even more table properties that you can edit that sometimes your instructions will require you to edit. Okay. Yeah. So if you're on your table and you go to your layout tab here and then to cell size, you can open this here. Same thing with rows and columns. You can go ahead and if you want to insert it, it kind of gives you an idea of where you're going to be inserting material. All right, I think that is it. The only other thing, and this is just under the more skills, are drop cases and stuff like that. So if you highlight like this T right here and go under your text section over here. So I highlighted just the T here. So again, if you've ever like read like a fairy tale book, right? And it says like once upon a time and the O drops three lines. You can do that in Word here as well to where you can just choose a drop case, okay? You can also insert word art, right? So if you want to get real 1990s with it, you can add some word art. But that is pretty much it. Are there any questions on chapter 3? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so if there's no questions, the rest of the time is yours. You have about a